Marshallese Educational Initiative. Did I pronounce your last name right? Stege. Tina Stege. I should have checked before, we just met a few minutes ago. So Tina Stege is a partner in Martina Corporation, a family firm based in the Marshall Islands that draws on local and international expertise to tackle contemporary island issues and climate change, migration, sustainable development, education, and heritage. Tina also serves as educational liaison for the Marshallese Educational Initiative. It's a non-profit based in Springdale. Is that Arkansas? That's pretty far from the Marshall Islands. And that was created to blend scholarly research with practical outreach efforts to create awareness of Marshallese issues on a national stage while also making a real difference in the lives of individual Marshallese. Raised in Majura Atoll, Tina received her BA in sociology from Princeton University in 1997 and an MA in anthropology from the University of Aix-en-Provence in 2006. She worked for the RMI Embassy in Washington, D.C. for many years before leaving to focus on independent and community-based projects. She has worked on projects for the Pacific Islands Foreign Secretariat, the U.S. Department of the Interior, the RMI government, the Asian Development Bank, and Greenpeace. Tina was instrumental in planning and served as the MC for MEI's Nuclear Remembrance Day in 2014, which was called Reflect Instrument, which is called Reflect, right? Reflect, Honor, and Educate. In 2014 at the Clinton Presidential Library, that's where it was held. Representing civil society and MII, she addressed the General Assembly in the United Nations in September 2015 on the commemoration of the International Day for the Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons. Most recently, she partnered with the American Museum of Natural History curator Dr. Jenny Newell on a project looking at community-based responses to climate change in the Marshall Islands. So I give you Tina Stege.
Yahweh Mankomale. Yahweh is our greeting in Marshallese. It is also the word we use to say love. It is the word we use to say goodbye. And actually, if you break apart the word, it's Ya, which is rainbow. Kwe means to you. It's our way of giving you a symbol of peace, a symbol of love. And so I wanted to begin my talk here today and echo what everybody on the panel has said. I really struck my heart what Kathy was saying about a culture of peace, and that these cultures, these are embedded in our cultures, this idea of peace and giving. I'm really honored to be here to share with you the stories of Marshallese people, my people, and our experiences with nuclear testing. Over 70 years ago now, the United States government conducted the first of what would be 67 nuclear tests in my country. The impact of those tests, in particular Bravo, the Bravo shot that many of you may have heard of, was both violent and immediate. Islanders from Bikini, a word that Americans and people all over the world know, the one Marshallese word that everybody in the world knows. Islanders from Bikini and Inuita left their ancestral homelands to scrape out an existence in new, often inhospitable environments as a result of those tests. The people of Ramallah and Udaruk, exposed to near fatal doses of radioactive fallout from the Bravo test, also left their home islands only to be returned prematurely to poisoned environments. For my generation and the generation and others who were born after the testing, the legacy of those 67 tests may not be as direct, but the impact remains as violent and destructive. And this is where I was really responding to what Kathy Some of you probably know this concept from Rob Nixon. It's called slow violence. And I feel like it very much applies to the Marshallese people and to all those people who are put in situations of ecological disasters that go over many, many generations, repercussions that unfold over decades and centuries. And this is a violence, a slow violence that's often invisible. The media latches onto these big events that are bounded in one space and time. But slow violence captures the violence that media often doesn't respond to, that doesn't look at how things continue to impact people over decades and centuries, long after the bomb itself has been forgotten. But not in that country. We have not forgotten. Although my lineage links me to Wurruk, which is one of the 4 atolls that the U.S. recognizes as affected by Bravo, and by the way, of the 67 tests, the U.S. only recognizes that one, in fact, affected the health of the people in the Marshall Islands, and that was Bravo. My formative experience is learning about the testing as a U.S. college student who came to the United States to research and learn about my own history back in the islands, and then as a newly hired civil servant in the Marshall Islands government who was tasked with gathering oral histories from survivors and working with communities who were still living in exile from their home islands. Those experiences showed me the myriad ways in which Marshallese are affected by this slow violence that I talked to you about. Consider the NUKES people who, to this day, live next to Remit Dome, which is a cement-capped nuclear waste site built by the United States that does not meet U.S. safety standards for household trash. Or Marshallese men, women, and children with cancers who have no access to treatment because we do not have and never have had an oncologist in the Marshall Islands. It is shameful how limited healthcare options are for Marshallese people given our history. The Department of Energy provides medical care to people from Rongelap and Utrecht that they recognize as being exposed to fallout from the Bravo test. Everyone else is excluded. This includes people who were resettled on contaminated atolls. This includes people who were never evacuated from other atolls that were affected but not recognized as having been affected. This includes people who helped clean up the nuclear waste sites that were left behind by the testing. These people have to go to Hawaii or the mainland United States, and as you heard, we have a very large community, for example, in Springdale, Arkansas. They travel to these places to try to get the treatment that they need, only to find that we are labeled legally as non-immigrants, and so disqualified from any federally funded healthcare programs. Even among those clearly deserving of care, secrecy and obfuscation stands in the way of health and justice. Consider Rongelapese individuals enrolled without their knowledge in the DOE's Project 4.1, this is after the testing had started, which was a biomedical research program that studied the effects of radiation on human beings. One Rongelapese, Jayvan Kirgalam, has said, I quote, DOE put me in the 4.1 project. It was a guinea pig study of